That was a sad time. It was a day before my birthday. And so I was driving to my apartment complex when I heard it. So I just drove onto my apartment and cried quite a bit and stayed there alone for the rest of the night and listened at the news and all of that. Now, I must say that the reason I probably was a little upset was that I thought that most of the probabilities that he would be killed had diminished. I mean, we always live with the idea that he would not, may not live very long. In fact, in 1963, I was in his church in Ebenezer when he preached a sermon I call the I Have a Hope sermon, where he indicated that he had received so many death threats on the same day that John Kennedy was killed that it was pretty clear that he would not be able to live a long life. So then he began to tell us what he wanted us to do in his stead. So we were all prepared early on, but then we'd kind of gotten a little lax in our thinking, and then he was killed. I worked for IBM at the time in New York City, and they knew I was involved in the movement, but they liked my work and they didn't have any idea about trying to stop it, and they never expected to see me in the office. So I called in the next morning and had them to cancel all the appointments and things I had because I did not come back to the office through the next week. And the reason for that is that was on a Thursday that he was killed. On Friday night, I went up to Harlem, and I was helping the police try to quell the riots. And one interesting thing is that I and others began to say, why are you going to kind of riot here in your own communities? Why don't you go downtown somewhere? And a policeman, an African-American policeman next to me said, yeah, why don't you do that? And so after a while, things seemed to get slightly under control. So I left and went visiting in the area and looked at the news on TV, and there were these people coming out of the subway trains, going into the theaters on Broadway and running people out of the theaters. And I said, uh-oh, maybe we told them to do something that now they're following up on. The next morning, I flew to Memphis. And as what we did during those times, we had a march and a demonstration. And that's what we had in Memphis that Saturday. And we had an event. People came, and we all just came. We just had to be there, and there was an event. That evening, I flew from there to Atlanta, and I attended the funeral of Martin Luther King. And it was a sad time, and then we figured we had to get over it and go on and do what he asked us to do.